If Instagram turned off tomorrow, some people would not know who they are. And that is not okay. That is the problem with society at the moment.
You're trying to extract and understand what that feeling might be.
Your wedding is the only day that everyone you love is in the same room, essentially until your funeral. And you're not present at that.
Creating content, creating a personal brand, because it's quite challenging, especially for someone that might be introverted.
People follow you because they want to connect with you, and you need to give them something to connect with. And if it's not something that you're transparent about why you're there, then people can't connect with it.
Gone are the days of putting a photo up of your kids on holiday. They want to know the depths of what's going on behind the camera.
Yes.
Maybe that's why reality TV is more engaging.
100%.
How do you convey that to them that that's not your self-worth?
That is ridiculous, that your priority is filming the lunch that you're at rather than being at the lunch. You do good and good will come, whether it's a champion girl medal or whether it's a business deal.
Welcome back to That Backyard Property Pod. I am super excited today. I have a business owner, a mum, a wife, partner, and a co-director of Switch, Courtney Hoskins. Welcome.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for having me.
It feels like a long time coming that we've got you back in. You've come back from Italy.
Yes.
And now you're back in Perth.
Yeah, I kind of thought I'd avoided this, but you're very persistent. So yes, here I am.
I'm really excited to talk about so much with you, whether it's Switch Creative, Switch Talent, your journey of buying your recent property.
Yes.
I love starting the conversation with what a home means to you.
Yeah, a home. I guess I actually had a really interesting story. I guess I'm one of those people that lived in the same house until I was 19, about 5 streets away from here. And so home was always very stable, a real security blanket. Definitely became a place first rather than people. And then since I've kind of moved out of home and navigated the world and I guess explored from there, it's now people, definitely. We've created, beautiful relationships that family and friends have kind of become one. It's a security blanket for sure. It's a safe space for support, for advice, for fun.
Are you trying to, like, in terms of, because you've got kids now, like, is it a bit of recreating the same memories that you had when you were growing up?
Yeah, the nostalgia is definitely coming through for sure. I guess I had that kind of quintessential Australian childhood of being out on the street and riding our bikes and playing cricket out the front until sunset every night. And I definitely look forward to that with our kids. They're a bit young to be navigating that at the moment. But yeah, it's definitely creating those, I guess, baseline childhood experiences of family holidays and family friend time and just all of the nostalgia of Easter and Christmas. And that's really special, being able to experience that from the other side.
It's so interesting for, like, my wife and I talk about it a bit, where we know now, like, our eldest is 5. And so there's those core memories she's now remembering and will remember for her life. Yeah. And there's a bit of pressure. You're like, I hope that they're good memories.
Yes.
Do you have a bit of that?
100%. Yeah. I think back to those first memories that you have of, I think, getting roller skates for Christmas and, like, how the magic of all of those things. Definitely trying to create those core memories and have a little bit, I think, the awareness of how much that can impact you, that growing up they stay with you. Definitely, I think is something that we've kind of put a priority on for sure.
Did you have an inkling that you wanted to be a business owner as you were growing up?
No.
Was that something that you had?
Absolutely not. No way. My mum is a teacher and my dad has his own business. And the concept of having your own business and never switching off and working nights, and was not for me. Even at my previous job before I kind of joined Switch, the concept of running it and owning it and being the kind of last stop for everything, definitely not for me. It was just kind of something that I fell into. The timing was right person, right place.
Sliding doors.
Very much so. Yeah, very much so. But yeah, no, definitely not part of the plan. I kind of was very much into sport in high school and very much thought that I would kind of go down that path, physio, sports management, which now has kind of somewhat come full circle, but I don't really know how we ended up here. But I think it's kind of always been the path that I was meant to be on. I just wasn't aware of it.
I love joining the dots afterwards.
Yes.
You can everything just starts to make sense.
Yes.
But it can only do that post when you're in the middle of it.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. My business partner, Steph, was a client of mine. That's how I met her. But I actually knew her through friends of, well, no, I didn't know her, but I knew of her. And I always said, she's someone I want to be friends with, which now she's a super introvert and she thinks that that's crazy that I somewhat targeted her to be my friend. But I mean, I'm glad I did because we wouldn't be here without it.
Yeah.
So we worked together as she was my client and we just worked really well together. We had really similar ethos of how to work and work ethic and what was important. And then, 5 years later, the timing was just right.
It's amazing. So now we've got a business that has staff and responsibilities and the phone doesn't really turn off.
Yeah.
What's that like raising a family at the same time?
Yeah, it's brutal. It's, the trenches very much so in them at the moment. I've got a almost 4-year-old daughter and an 18-month-old son and didn't take mat leave with either of them. Was on my computer trying to get discharged from the hospital, trying to navigate getting some things sorted, which I'm sure a lot of business owners are dealing with. It's hard. It's definitely hard, but it's also gives you some flexibility. It means that you don't miss out on book week. Well, I mean, sometimes you do miss out on book week because you forget about it, but you don't miss out on things. You can be present when you need to be present. And you need to make up the hours somewhere in the day, but it gives you a little bit of control, which is quite nice. I'm lucky that my husband's job is somewhat flexible also, so it means that we can kind of do the juggle together. But it's definitely feeling like we're stretched pretty thin at the moment.
Yeah, and because we're right in that thick of it as well, and you kind of look at it and go, were we always supposed to be this stretched to capacity, and does that change over time, or is it just the way our life is going to be for the next foreseeable future?
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of it is what it is, and you kind of need to lean into it. But I also think some of us are better at drawing a boundary than others and figuring out a bit of structure to have some balance. I find it really difficult to be able to press pause on work and say, I've done everything I can do today and now it's time to switch off and go home. That is something that I really struggle with. So the emails coming through and kind of, it's something that I'm really trying to enforce of work time and home time so that when the kids are awake and I have them, I'm a mum first rather than a boss or a event manager or whoever I am to that person. But it's definitely taken some time to be able to put a boundary in place that means that there is scheduled mum time and scheduled wife time and scheduled work time.
Yeah, and just sometimes, especially in some weeks, it doesn't feel like, I personally don't feel like I do any of those well. And
No.
I'm like, well, why, which one do I need to focus on at which point in time? It's a real struggle.
Yes. I feel like I'm 80% I'm only ever at 80% of anything, which is a really hard thing for someone that is somewhat of a perfectionist, especially in work, knowing that that's all you can give and that's okay. And at the time that there will be times where you can put all your focus into work and that's okay and your kids will be fine for that day or that week. I mean, I just got back from Italy and that was, going away with 2 young kids and I left them behind, which I'm very grateful that I was able to do that because it was a real career milestone for me. But being able to just fully put 12 days into work and being on the other side of the world is definitely a luxury that I'm very grateful to have had.
Talk to me about that trip because I'm not going to lie, it looked pretty fun.
Yeah, it was. Yes, it was fun. Definitely. I mean, I told my husband it was all work and no play, but it was, there was a good balance, which was great.
Social media account didn't look like that.
I mean, that's the highlight reel, right?
Yeah,
it was good. It was a 4-day wedding event, essentially, for a really special couple that I've worked with for a really long time. Yeah, it was a really really special occasion, 4 nights of events in one of the most spectacular parts of the world. We were at an amazing hotel in Ravello for the wedding, it was like being in a fairy tale. It was amazing. And just working with different suppliers and different vendors that we've never worked with. I feel like Perth is such a small space that you often work with the same people, which is so special because you have such amazing relationships with them. But it was really nice to be able to get away and meet new people and see how they operate and see what happens, what's normal in Europe, because it's so different to here. And it was a lot of professional development, as much as people say you were just in Europe having a good summer, but a lot of learning, a lot of great experiences and a lot of takeaways, which was amazing.
So I guess that takes us right into what Switch does, especially the Switch creative side that you really, that's your heart and soul.
It is, yes.
Tell me, what does the business do on all fronts?
Yeah, I mean, it's a big story for a small business. We've got 2 halves of the business. One is the talent management side, managing influencers, athletes, media personalities in brand deals, ambassador roles. We don't actually deal with the contracting side for athletes, which, I mean, maybe one day, but that seems like quite a complex world. And then the other side is creative, which is kind of the agency side of PR, marketing, social media, branding, web, events. My background is an event manager, so we felt like Steph and I were a good team to kind of offer a full service to a lot of small businesses that need support, that can't afford to go to a different agency for every pillar that they need support in. So we kind of thought if we had a one-stop shop to be able to help those smaller businesses, it would be kind of a 360 service, which is nice because our business is built on relationships and working long-term with people rather than kind of the quick win for the quick buck. And that means that we can help them kind of start the journey, start a brand, and then maybe in 6 months' time they want to have a launch event, and we can help with that. And then they need some PR rollout for a new service, so we can help with that, which is special because the longer you work with people, the better that relationship is. And yeah, that's something that really fills my cup.
Or you have a lunch with your first 20 podcast guests and you get organised.
Yes, or you get to do that for sure. I've always been a people person for sure, and being around people and being able to experience events. I mean, often I'm staff in the corner, but being able to watch the emotion and the feeling and just being together, how much that means to people and that connection in whether it's a wedding, whether it's a brand event, whether it's a launch event, it's special to be a part of, and people recognise that when you've put the effort in, and it's nice to be a part of for sure.
How do you turn the creative side on? If there are juggling so many hats, how do you become or be in the creative space? Yeah,
it's hard. It is really hard. I'm someone that has to definitely separate it out. I have a day of budget, Excel, accounts, admin, and then I have a day that's like purely allocated to creative because it's something that you really need to get into the zone. Otherwise, there's nothing flowing essentially. A lot of inspiration for sure, a lot of too much time on my phone, deep diving and doom scrolling of what other people have done, and different experiences for sure, whether it's brand or whether it's interiors or whether it's events, travel, anything. You can kind of pick up inspiration in anything, because essentially my concept is an event should create a feeling for guests. Whatever that feeling is dependent on what the client's looking for, but the creativity can kind of come from anything to just create that feeling for sure.
The feeling that you're talking about, I imagine the clients you have don't say, hey, I want this feeling.
No.
You're trying to extract and understand what that feeling might be.
Yes. A lot of the time it's it's kind of understanding who they are, especially for a wedding. You kind of want to know the couple from what do they enjoy doing? If they have a Friday night, like what are they doing? Are they going to a wine bar and having a beautiful bottle of wine? What experiences do they enjoy? And then it's selling their story to their guests. So if it's food and wine is their thing, then that should be the hero of the event. If it's they're known for a party or they're the last ones to get off the dance floor, then the priority should be put on that.
Yeah.
It's kind of, extracting what's important to them, what is a good reflection of them as either a person, a couple, a brand, and trying to make that all-encompassing for the guests when they arrive.
Because a wedding is, well, our wedding was the best day of my life and still is.
Mm-hmm.
The birth of our kids was great, but the wedding was so good.
Yes.
I'm guessing like there must be a bit of pressure on that.
Very
like,
much
how do we live up to this expectation? Because some people have dreamt of their wedding since they were kids.
Yes. I mean, I think the thing with a wedding is you don't understand the feeling of your own wedding until you're in it. So a lot of the time people prioritize, I don't know, what it would look like and what's going to go on Instagram. And I just think a lot of the time when I meet with clients at the beginning, my questions are like, what do you want from a wedding? What does a wedding mean to you? And if the response is, I want to be featured in Vogue and I want the perfect photos on Instagram, I'm like, I don't think I'm the right person for you because that's not what I think a wedding should be. I think the celebration, I was actually saying to someone the other day for their wedding that your wedding is the only day that everyone you love is in the same room, essentially until your funeral. And you're not present at that. So it's one of those moments where when you can turn around and everyone there is there for you and you know every single person. I mean, unless someone's bought a random +1 and you've met them on the day. We had one of them. You know every single person and they're there because they mean something to you and because you love them. It's something that you should really actually immerse yourself in, and that's what a wedding should be about rather than the table decor and the flower budget, and all of those things are special and they create an experience, but ultimately like it's definitely about the people.
We were talking about branding a bit earlier and you mentioned it in terms of the talent side that you're helping. How do you help people, or the people that you're helping, obviously, how do you guide them towards putting themselves out there, creating content, creating a personal brand? Because it's quite challenging, especially for someone that might be introverted.
Yeah, it is. I feel like it is something that takes a while to get comfortable with, for sure. Some people naturally are happy being front facing. Some people, it takes a bit of work, but also it's something that you have to want to be able to do it. A lot of people feel like, I'm an athlete, I've got a following, therefore I am entitled to X, Y, or Z. But really, people follow you because they want to connect with you, and you need to give them something to connect with. And if it's not something that you're comfortable with, or you're not honest or authentic or transparent about who you are and why you're there, then people can't connect with it. And then that way there's no actual engagement. It's just putting things into the universe that aren't real or people, don't want to gravitate towards. I think the people that are really successful are the ones that, whether they're comfortable doing it or whether it's just raw and honest, it's putting something into the universe that is a story that people want to know about and they want to understand further. Whether it's an athlete that people follow because they are great at what they do, but giving them an insight into what life is like off the field, or who you are as a person with prep or game day stuff, or beliefs that you have, ambassador roles that you want to work with, why you want to partner with those companies. It's not just a deal that you've done because of money. It's a deal because you value that relationship. I think that's something that at Switch we really try and narrow down for all of the talent of like, who are you and what is your story and why do you want to connect with those brands and why are you doing this, rather than I should be because it's who I am or it's what I'm entitled to.
I feel like social media has moved a long way down that connection and storytelling path, where gone are the days of putting a photo up of your kids on holiday. Yeah. They want to know the depths of what's going on behind the camera.
Yes, definitely.
It's quite fascinating that that's the way it's come and people are engaging more in it. Maybe that's why reality TV is more engaging than a sitcom.
Yeah, I think it's just that, like, the personal connection for sure. I think now that people are constantly looking at a screen, whether it's a phone or a TV or a laptop, it's trying to actually engage with people and find the people that have similar views, beliefs, understanding of the world to you. I think the raw behind the scenes stuff is actually, because it's so honest, people actually just want to know that it's real rather than the highlight reel, Italy, for example. It's like you see that side, but I think the people that show the kind of raw, unfiltered side is the people that are continuing to grow and become more successful in those platforms, because it's not curated like it used to be. It's not all just the perfect shot and it's edited with Facetune and it's the same photo 5 times over. Like, it's actually just showing the shit show of the family holiday and the fact that the kids threw tantrums in the customs line, and like, we didn't all fly business because we can't all afford that. But I think it is just showing people that, yeah, there's still reality there.
The challenge I certainly faced when I decided to put my face in front of the camera was that you get so caught up in engagement and views and likes, regardless of whether you want to or not. Yeah. I was like, no, I definitely won't. And all of a sudden you do.
It's a slippery slope, for sure.
Yeah. It really is. And I found it really challenging at the start, where I was so focused on that. Then I was like, what's the point in actually doing what I'm trying to do?
Yeah.
And then over time you realize that if you just create your own little community,
yes,
and you just talk to that community, then that's where the beauty and the power is.
It's always going back to why. Always. Like, why are you doing that? You're doing that to educate people. You're doing that to help group of people that might not have an understanding of certain elements, and you think that that's important. So you've come up with a way to educate people easily, and it's accessible, and it's easy for us to understand, me especially, because mortgages and housing was not my forte. I think it's really important to go back to the why, and it's a really hard thing to remember that the validation that you get from social media is not real. And that community, yes, you might have created a special community, but also it's not everything. Having a certain amount of likes and having that following, if Instagram turned off tomorrow, some people would not know who they are. And that is not okay. That is the problem with society at the moment, that some people view that as their whole self-worth, and all of their validation comes from what random people you've never met say in your comments. And I think if you use Instagram and social media as a platform and as a tool to help give back to the world and help, tell your story, but it's not everything to you, I think that is the perfect balance of, this is something that I can put to the universe, but ultimately, like, it doesn't define who I am.
So then in Switch Talent, like, how do you convey that to someone, especially in the younger generation, that's what they've been brought up like? At least for us, we didn't have that when we were in high school and whatever. But for those people, how do you convey that to them, that that's not your self-worth?
Yeah, it's really hard. It is really hard. Some people that's just that's where they found themselves. And it's one of those things that I think it requires the balance of having stable relationships and having people around you that are true rather than just a social media following. Having the people that have a bit of a reality check to say, like, no, let's step away from that, because that is ridiculous that your priority is filming the lunch that you're at rather than being at the lunch. Yeah, I think it's kind of having one foot in both camps. It's one of those things that often when we meet with people, those are the types of questions that we want to know, whether why they're doing it, what they want out of it. And if the outcome is 100,000 followers and making a shit ton of money and not having to work, probably not for us, because you're in it for the wrong reasons. I think if you feel like you have a story that is going to help people, if it helps one person, but you can put your story to the world and that makes you feel better about what you've experienced, but also someone on the receiving end might get something out of it. And yeah, maybe you make some money along the way, but I think that's what's important for sure.
That one person you're helping is the turning point for me.
Yeah.
There was one person that reached out and said that video helped. Yeah. I went, oh, that's why I'm doing it. That was literally the turning point.
Yeah. Oh, I can imagine. And I think for things, what you do and explaining those things, having a house and a mortgage and stability and a family home or an investment or helping you set yourself up for the future, that is changing people's lives. A lot of the time we kind of sit back and say, what are we doing? Like, this is not rocket science, and it's not brain surgery, and it's not life or death. So a lot of the time it's step back and just take a breath. And yes, we might be helping people create a career and have opportunities that maybe they previously didn't. But ultimately, like, it's just work, and it's just social media, and it's just an event, or it's just a wedding. It's not going to change your life forever. And yes, put everything into it, but there's bigger things for sure.
There always is. Yeah. You're talking about home and mortgage. I'd love to chat to you around your process of buying your recent home. And yes. I know it will bring up some difficult memories, but the reason why I really want to do it is, firstly, I was there, and so I felt the emotion of it all for as long as it was. Yes. But I feel that in the current market, similar to when you purchased, it was so intense, and it was like this pressure cooker, a bit of an inferno, and people were missing out on properties. You guys were missing out on properties, and people still are. Mm-hmm. And when people miss out on properties, they've already pictured their kids having that bedroom.
100%.
They're already in the house, yes. And they miss out again and again and again. Mm-hmm. And it's really distressing for a lot of people because you buy on emotion, you justify with logic. And so I'd love to open that can of worms up with you, and just more to give people the context that it's not easy for everyone. It's actually quite challenging to do. Yes. And that there also is a silver lining as well.
Yes.
But it takes time.
Oh, yeah, it definitely took us time. I think our process was maybe 14 months in the making. Yeah, we kind of made the decision. We saw a house that we loved in a suburb that we wanted to live in, and we're like, maybe we'll put an offer on it and then we'll see what happens. Subject to sale was not a thing in this market. So we sold just so that we weren't subject to sale, and then was somewhat left in limbo because the owner of that property decided to take it off the market and sell it on Facebook Marketplace in the end, which is heartbreaking because we still now what could have been. Yeah, I think we had one child. It was time to take the leap. It felt like you start playing with Monopoly money, and it's not real, and you think that I'm quite a pragmatic person, and I thought I was working with logic rather than emotion. But as that time goes on and the slope gets more steep, the more the emotion comes in, because you feel unstable. You don't have a base. What does it look like for my kids if I don't have a permanent roof over my head? We were so lucky that we had never rented. We'd lived in my in-laws' house because they live overseas. So we have always had a really stable roof. And the unknown of selling and not having somewhere to move to was really stressful. I was pregnant with our second child. The timing was not ideal.
And running a business.
Yes, and running a business. Yeah. And I think, ultimately we had made a decision that we needed to move to a certain suburb. That then all of a sudden the doors blew open. We were looking at suburbs we'd never even heard of because we were like, just give us a house, putting offers on things that we didn't even want because we just wanted a house. And ultimately, one of those houses, thank God we didn't get, and you were very forceful with that, which was really helpful. I think it's just trying to stay true and have people around you that when the emotion kicks in to say like, no, this is just you clutching at getting anything rather than stay true to what you actually want, because at the time it feels like an instant purchase, but the 30-year mortgage thing of, no, you're in this house paying the same amount for the next 30 years is something I don't think you actually grasp until you're in it. And we were really lucky that we somewhat held out but somewhat missed out until our house popped up and we bought in the suburb that we ultimately wanted to, thank God. And we're on a beautiful street and it's so wholesome, and everything about our children's upbringing now will kind of revolve around that. And I think back to some of those houses that we put offers on and think, God, what were we thinking? We don't want to live there, and our community's not there, and that's not where we were meant to be. And I think it's one of those things of have faith that the universe, which sounds terrible, but it will present, the right house will come. You just need to be semi-patient, which is hard.
It's so hard. And you heard me say this a lot as well, is I've still never had anyone that hasn't found a better property eventually.
Yeah.
But you still have to make the decision to do it.
Yes.
And that's the hardest part. It's like, yes, you will find one better, but you've also got to go all in as well.
Yes.
The other part that I had never thought about, you had so much stability as a child with your home, and I can only imagine that instability was actually quite unsettling.
Massively. And I also was very set on the fact that the house we were buying was the house our children were growing up in, which my husband went to 7 primary schools and never had that. Like, they've moved around, they moved country. They didn't have that same core. The neighbours were the same. You played with the street kids. They all went to a primary school. Still now I go to Coles in that suburb. My mum still lives there. And I see all of the people that I went to primary school with. It's, something that definitely is ingrained with me. And I was very focused on that, which is probably a little bit irrational because that's not really how the world works anymore, of buy the house and stay there. And a lot of people were like, maybe this isn't the forever house. Maybe you need a 5-year house. And I was like, I'm not paying stamp duty twice. Which, again, quite irrational. However, the focus of my kids going to the local primary school and having neighbourhood friends and having that base that's like the core community, the safe streets, it was really important to me, maybe to a point where it was detrimental to decision making for sure. But I think ultimately it paid off. The street that we live in has like communal Easter egg hunts with all the kids on the street, and Christmas Eve they go to the park and Santa comes and sees them. Like, it's so special. And the magic that they will experience of hopefully living in the same house until they're 18. I think that's something I would love them to experience, because I love that when I got to do it, for sure.
It almost feels like a blessing that you ended up where you are, because you've got a husband that's very happy-go-lucky, and I can imagine the neighbourhood really enjoy having someone that will probably dress as the Easter Bunny or Santa.
Yes. I mean, I think that time will come. There's like a group chat with all of the mums on the street, and there's a current dad that's the fun dad that has that trophy, and I'm assuming that he'll hand that baton over as soon as he realises that Todd will do that. It's special for sure. And all of the kids that go to the local primary school, they all walk there together. They all walk home. Like, it's definitely the nostalgia of what my childhood was like, walking past the deli on the way home and getting a 50-cent Coke bottle, and like just all those little things. I'd love for them to have that, for sure.
Yeah. And Clemmy for us is in primary school now, and I didn't realise the true connections you would build with other parents that are in exactly the same position as you.
Yes.
And you just create this little village.
Yeah.
And we were always supposed to raise kids in a village.
Yeah.
I truly believe that. Yeah. And so for us now with the schooling, you're going, this is our village. This is what we wanted all along.
Yes. Tob's quite closed, despite the fact he's very open with people. He has this like first impression of, we don't need new friends. We're busy. We don't have time for this. Like, what does that look like? And then as soon as you're kind of in it, you realise how helpful it is and how wholesome it is having people on the street that know your kids, and having those local support network of people that you didn't know, but all of a sudden, we aren't in primary school yet, so we haven't got there, but kindy is next year. Having the community that is actually locationally close, because your people, despite the fact they're so special to you, they live everywhere. And geographical location is so helpful for those days where you're scrambling and you're stuck in a meeting and you can't do pick up. Having someone that you can just message to say, you're already going to school, can you just grab them on your way home? It is a lifesaver in this kind of busy environment, especially when running a business and every day is unknown and you don't know what curveball's coming. I think it's really special. Yeah. Very grateful to, I'm sure it will get more intense over the next few years as we go into primary school and what that looks like. But it's been special already.
It's funny because it does get intense, but there's also a layer of it not getting intense because you have that village and people that pick up bits and bobs that you don't do. And dinner gets made over here and someone cleans over here and you go, this is really lovely. And the other part is you create this environment that your kids we can see the fact that our kids are going to grow up and go, I remember we used to go and do this all the time. Yeah. Hopefully they do that.
Yes. Oh, yeah. And I think the freedom that children feel, I mean, I know that I felt it, of being able to go across the road to that person's house or go around the corner and come home by sunset. You felt independent, even though you absolutely weren't. But having that safe space of feeling like you can walk down the street and you can kind of go and do what you need to do, knowing that everyone's a community and everyone kind of knows each other and everyone's looking out for each other's kids. Yeah, I guess that's what life's all about, right?
I guess so. You've got 2 kids. You're working incredibly hard and you're also incredibly good at what you do. What sort of values are you hoping to pass on to those 2 kids of yours?
I mean, hard work for sure. I think the concept of putting the effort in, whether it's something that you're good at or whether it's, I remember in primary school, I thought I was going to the Olympics for every sport because I won things, but it was actually because I had 7 girls in my year group, not because I was that talented. And I was in year 6 or year 7 and one of the girls had convinced me that we should draw in a swimming race because it meant that we got to share a champion girl. And I had won it and I thought, that's a nice thing to do. That's amazing. And my mum was furious and she said, I took the day off work and I came and you didn't put in the hard work. You didn't put in all of your effort. And that's all I can ask. And upon reflection of that has stuck with me. It doesn't matter what the outcome is. It doesn't matter whether the accolades come or what that looks like. I think it's just put the energy into the universe, do everything that you can, and things will come to you in time, whether that's, instant or whether it's a slow burn. You will get there, but you need to constantly put that effort in. And I think also operating with honesty and transparency and integrity. At Switch, we kind of started the business with the theory that everything was based around people and relationships and honesty with a long-term goal of if you work with people and you do right by them rather than a quick win and a quick buck, it will kind of come back to you in full circle. And I'd love the kids to also kind of operate in that way, that you do good and good will come, whether it's a champion girl medal or whether it's a business deal. If you operate with integrity and you're honest and truthful and kind, then the universe will give back to you for sure.
I had a funny moment when you're mentioning that. We've got our Faction Carnival coming up in a couple of weeks. Really important. And our daughter's quite a good runner. She didn't get it from me. She didn't get it from my wife either. It's definitely skipped a generation. She's a bit of a glider. Our second is a stomper like me. Our first is a glider. Anyway, she's a bit worried about the Faction Carnival coming up, which you're just having to let these things evolve. And she said, I don't want to do it. I said, well, let's practice on the weekend if you want. Yeah. And so remember, what does practice do? And she goes, means we get better. And I was like, I'm being that parent and they're just replicating what you've told them again and again. Yes. I heard this really good one on a pod the other day where it was like, the harder you work, the luckier you get. And I was just thinking all these little moments in time and different sayings that you keep repeating, your kids remember it. Yeah,
the sponge it's somewhat scary, isn't it? The amount of what you put out into the world, they absorb everything, which is
the good and the bad.
The good and the bad, totally. And all of a sudden you're in control of these 2 children and the direction of who they are and the way that they look at the world. I think you kind of forget how much power and influence you have on the way that they look at the world and what they think is fact. We've told our daughter that if she stays in bed she's an early riser, if she stays in bed till 6 a.m, her Elsa powers work and she can freeze people. And honestly, she thinks that the world stops. When she stays in her bed till 6 a.m, she uses her hands, freeze, and my husband freezes in the kitchen and the whole world stops. But
oh, that's good.
That's a way for us to try and get her to not get up in the 4s. But it's something that she wholeheartedly believes because we have told her that that's how the world works. And she often repeats back to me now, no, Mum, that's not how the world works. So obviously I have said that to her, which sometimes is thrown back in my face and doesn't work very well. But yeah, it's incredible the impression that you have on people. And I mean, I don't think it's just kids. I think it's also people, friends, people around you. If everyone does better, then the world gets better. That, a tide rises all ships. Yeah, I think it's just like everyone put their best foot forward. And the saying of hard work gets you lucky is those opportunities present and the doors open for people that allow them to. I think you have to put into the universe, and then at some point it will come back to you. Hopefully.
No, it always does. It always does. I believe so wholeheartedly in that.
Yeah.
I love finishing off these conversations because it's such a beautiful moment to connect with someone. For obviously we know each other, but I love these moments as well. I'd really like to hear what you're most proud of personally and professionally.
Yeah, that's a really hard one. We're really bad at reflecting and acknowledging success, I think.
And then talking about it.
Yeah, it's something that, it doesn't really sit comfortably with me at all. I think personally, creating a stable home, a beautiful family, I have a great husband who does more for me than I could ever possibly express. And having a happy household, I'm grateful and proud that we've managed to build that over, we've been together for 15 years. And there's been ups and downs for sure, but I think just creating something that is every day I wake up and I'm happy and grateful that that's the position I am in, and that, I made a good choice in a husband, and I've got 2 beautiful children, and I'm very lucky with having that as my home environment for sure. Professionally, I think building a business that I'm proud of I'm proud of the way that we work, right? Obviously of the work that we produce also, but the way that we work, the acting with integrity, being honest, being trustworthy, not looking at everything in a dollar figure. Everything is more based around people and the relationship. We've got a beautiful team, and I'm proud that they're growing as people. I love watching them develop, and new opportunities that come in. We've got a bell in the office that when things go well, you get to ring the bell. And I think we should be better at acknowledging the little wins and the big wins, because it's hard to stop and step back and be like, wow, look at what we've achieved. I think being able to operate with integrity, and I'm proud of that. I'm proud that we've managed to stay true to who we wanted to be and what we wanted the business to be. And at times it's hard, but I think it's one of those things that if you constantly go back to why we're doing it and why we started it, I think it's nice to be able to acknowledge that we are kind of far further ahead than we thought we would be, but at the same time exactly where we wanted to be, which is pretty special.
Thank you so much. That's such a beautiful way to finish it. I have nothing else to add to that. It's just I love looking at someone tell me about what they're proud of, because everything comes out, and you certainly sum that up so perfectly. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for listening. It's amazing to have you as part of this community for That Backyard Property Pod. Remember, please hit like, subscribe, follow, and send through any questions that you have. We cannot wait to see you again next Tuesday. If you can't wait though, remember we have minis that come out every Thursday, which go into a little bit more depth into the lending and mortgage world. Thanks again, and can't wait to see you again.